Following a tough Super Bowl defeat, the Kansas City Chiefs tight and dedicated his summer to returning stronger than ever at his low-key gym in Florida. Kelce addresses our inquiries about his intensified training routine, his post-football aspirations, and his role in American pop culture. In a dimly lit dining area in Miami, a waiter serves him a dish of hamachi crudo. "We don't get fresh fish like this in Kansas City," Kelce remarks. Seated in a horseshoe-shaped booth, his voice competes with a young woman on stage covering Sada's The Sweetest Taboo and other soft classics. Kelce reflects that he didn't have access to such exquisite fish, raw and delicately sliced, while growing up in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Red Lobster was a fancy place for us as kids. We'd go there and look at the lobsters in the tank, like we were at an aquarium. We even dressed up for that. Kelce is in this upscale, health-conscious part of South Florida, not just because of the luxurious off-season retreat for a 35-year-old millionaire, but also to reconnect with his roots. Tony Villani, a speed and agility coach based in Lauderdale, has been training Kelce since his NFL combine over 10 years ago and has worked with him during the summers throughout most of his professional career. A few years back, Kelce took a break from working with Villani when he relocated his off-season training to Los Angeles to pursue his growing interest in film and television. However, Kelce has now returned to the East Coast to regroup after last season's heavy Super Bowl loss. "Winning a Super Bowl is the only goal," Kelce states. "It's the only goal. It's everything." Nearly 4 months after that defeat, he still holds himself accountable. "I think I may have lost some focus because I was trying to set myself up for new opportunities in acting and entertainment," he explains. "I'm not saying I regret it. I just take great pride in my work ethic and never want my performance to decline. I feel like the last 2 years haven't met my standards." He emphasizes, "I'm highly motivated to show up this year for my teammates." His last 24 hours have been intense. He woke up at 5 to drive to the Everglades for a photo shoot, spending 12 hours navigating swamps, handling alligators, and riding airboats. After that, he drove to the airport to catch a flight to Kansas City for a charity event at a children's hospital that evening. The following day, he drove to the airport, took a flight back to Miami, and went straight to dinner. At some point during his busy schedule, Kelce managed to fit in a workout. After our time together, he was scheduled to interview Shaquille O'Neal for an episode of New Heights, the podcast he co-hosts with his brother, former Philadelphia Eagles center Jason Kelce, which was licensed by Wondery last year in a deal reportedly worth $100 million. Next to his plate of hamachi sits a cup of coffee, the only indication that he might be feeling a bit tired. However, Kelce is definitely not letting his missed chance at a historic Super Bowl three-peat or his grueling off-season training prevent him from enjoying himself. His unabashed enthusiasm for life is one of his greatest strengths and a major reason for his popularity. He recognizes how fortunate he is, can hardly believe it, and is determined to savor every moment. Lately, he exudes unrestrained joy, smiling brightly through his longer hair and the flashes of paparazzi as he heads to dinner or a Stanley Cup game with his partner, Taylor Swift. Besides, feeling sorry for himself is simply not his character. "I love being the happiest guy in the world all the fucking time," he says. Kelce is well known for being unable to hide his feelings. He shares a story from when he was 23, preparing for the NFL draft, and had the chance to meet Rob Chudzinski, then head coach of the Cleveland Browns, the team the Kelce brothers passionately support while growing up. "I cried in Chud's office and said, 'I will fucking die for this city,'" Kelce recalls. "I was literally in tears. I told him, 'I'm sorry for getting emotional. I grew up just down the street. I would fucking do anything to play for the Cleveland Browns.' He looked at me like I was crazy. I don't think he'd ever had someone express their emotions so openly." The Browns overlooked Kelce, as did every other team until the Chiefs picked him in the 3rd round of the 2013 draft. He ended up being an ideal match for the future MVP quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. During many of Mahomes' unconventional plays, Kelce was often surprisingly open, celebrating each completion with a variety of dance moves reminiscent of a middle school dance. "When I was younger in the league," he recalls, older players would come up to me and say, "Man, you celebrate after every single catch." I'd respond, I'm in the NFL, dude. I love this. I finally have the ball, and millions are watching me. This is thrilling. Now, with 5 Super Bowl appearances and 3 championships under his belt, and having surpassed Jerry Rice for the most receptions in postseason and Super Bowl history, Kelce has made a compelling argument for being the greatest tight end of all time. There will be debates about him versus Gronk or Tony Gonzalez, says Jason Kelce, who, as listeners of New Heights know, tends to tease his brother more than praise him. But I don't think anyone has ever been as uniquely talented in that position. Despite his age and achievements, Travis's intensity remains undiminished, not directed at rival players, referees, or even his head coach, Andy Reid, whom Kelce famously confronted heatedly on the sidelines during the 2024 Super Bowl. He later apologized and mentioned that they laughed about it afterward. I release all my negative energy when I play football, he explains. On the field, I can tackle someone, I can trash talk. That's where my tougher side comes out, or my more difficult side. However, the Travis Kelce I interact with is different from the one I anticipated. While still lively, he is more reflective. Football is an oddly shaped game. Kelce observes with a yogi bear-like wisdom. That ball can bounce in your favor or against you. There's a lot of luck involved in playing this sport. This slightly philosophical perspective adds depth to the carefree, party-loving Midwestern persona that has made him so relatable and adored. I'm starting to move away from being known as a party guy. He admits, despite being a host of a music festival in Kansas City that attracts 20,000 attendees to see artists like Diplo and Lil Wayne, and whose post-playoff celebration includes a spirited rendition of You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. When you see me at the U.S. Open with Taylor, it might seem like we're partying, Kelce says, but I'm just enjoying the